Many people think that dark feminine energy is evil, that it's the absence of light and God. But what if I told you that it's one of the most transformative forces that you can tap into? Hi, I'm Rachel. I'm a feminine energy life coach. I grew up in the church and I had a spiritual awakening a few years ago that illuminated a lot of truths for me, and I want to share those with you today. I help women embrace their femininity and empower them to live their most authentic and full life possible. Today, I want to talk to you about something that I've had a lot of questions about. A lot of fear surrounds this topic, and so I just wanted to clarify it and give it more perspective for you. Dark feminine energy. What is it? It's not about the darkness in a negative sense, but rather about embracing transformation. It's about shadow work, authenticity, and being confident in your feminine abilities. Historically, this energy has been demonized, especially by religious sects, but it holds deep power for deep transformation. It's about facing the shadow parts of ourselves, much like Mary Magdalene did. The shadow part of us is the part that's hidden, the part that we don't look at. And a lot of times other people can see that those flaws that we have hidden in the shadows, but we can't. The dark feminine energy allows you to tap into, to become aware, to step into that darkness and see what's there and transform it. I want to share with you today something that you might not realize about Mary Magdalene, and it is because the truth has been suppressed due to fear. If you're not familiar with who Mary Magdalene is, she was an apostle of Jesus. She was very close to Jesus, one of Jesus's closest friends. And initially, she came to Jesus with 7 demons. When I say 7 demons, I mean many people interpret that as being possessed by entities, but I think it's subject to interpretation. And I'll get into what I mean by that in just a little bit. But also, Pope Gregory conflated Mary Magdalene as being a prostitute when it never says that in the Bible. I believe in Mark, it says that Mary was a sinful woman. Now, that can be a number of different things. It could mean that she didn't pay her taxes on time, or she didn't do something that was right according to the law. Pope Gregory took the scene where she washed Jesus's feet with her hair and oil, and the oil that she used was unguent, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I hope I am. And he said that this oil was used for sexual acts. But when I did more research, I learned that this ointment was actually used to heal wounds and burns. So if you think about it, the apostles, Jesus, they all walked either barefoot or with sandals on rough terrain, and they were walking for miles on end. So their feet were in horrible condition, and Mary was taking care of Jesus and blessing him. Another use for this oil was more mystical reasons. This oil was used to usher in people from death into the non-physical, the spiritual realm with consciousness. And that might seem a little woo-woo, but I thought it was very interesting because she was a very mystical woman. And so she was using that intention to prepare him for his death. And Jesus even said that she was preparing him for his death. And she used this oil a second time when he was buried. I think Mary Magdalene's story is very significant and something that is highly undervalued. Mary Magdalene was the first apostle to see Jesus when he rose from the dead. And so that made her the apostle of apostles. Many of the other apostles called her that because she was the first to see Jesus raised from the dead. So if we should listen to anybody's story, it should be hers. She has the first account of Jesus. She was one of his most intimate and close friends. Her story is profound, and it's been hidden for a reason. Pope Gregory conflated her as being a prostitute so that people would disregard the profound truths that she holds within herself and within the Gospel of Mary. Now, going back to the 7 demons, it's up for interpretation, I believe. I think everything in the Bible is up for interpretation. Not everything in the Bible is literal. And I think when we start to look at the Bible that way, we can see deeper meanings behind things that we didn't see otherwise. Jesus intended for us to listen to parables so that we can listen to the deeper truths behind things. For me, the interpretation of the 7 demons, what resonates so much with me is when I discovered that this is probably signifying her 7 chakras. Chakras are energy centers, wheels of energy in our body, and there's 7 of them, and they go up and down our spine. And when one of these energy centers is blocked, it can manifest as a physical or emotional challenge. So I'm going to describe to you what the 7 energy centers are in our body, and if they're blocked, what would result from that. So the first one is the root. That's at the base of our spine where our tailbone is. And that energy center is for security, safety, survival, and grounding. But when it's blocked, it can result in fear and instability. The second one is our sacral chakra. This is connected to sexuality, creativity, and pleasure. But if it's blocked, it can result in shame, guilt, and repression of sexual energy. The next energy center up is the solar plexus. That is where confidence resides. It's connected to power, self-esteem, and control. And if it's blocked, it can result in self-doubt, lack of confidence, and powerlessness. The next one is our heart chakra, and that's connected to love, relationships, compassion. And if it's blocked, it can result in emotional pain, grief, and the inability to receive love. Then we have the throat chakra, which is connected to communication and self-expression. If it's blocked, you will have suppressed voice and fear of speaking the truth. The next energy center is our third eye, which is located in between the eyebrows, and it's connected to intuition, clarity, and insight. If blocked, it can result in a lack of clarity, intuition, and confusion. The last but not least energy center that I want to talk about is the crown chakra, which is located on the top of our head, and it's connected to our connection with the divine and spirituality. When blocked, we feel disconnected from the divine. I can see how if all of these energy centers were blocked for Mary Magdalene and Jesus healed her, it was a profound transformation that resulted from this extreme level of darkness to enlightenment. Each of these energy centers, if blocked, can result in disconnection and the inability to be connected to the light. And so shadow work is looking at that darkness, seeing it fully for what it is, and being able to transform it. I'm not sure how quickly the transformation was for Mary Magdalene, but with Jesus's help, she was healed from those and was able to have profound realizations afterwards, which we can see in the Gospel of Mary. Dark feminine energy is about working through these shadows to find spiritual rebirth, just as Mary was healed from them. Cultural and religious associations have linked darkness with evil, but in reality, the feminine, especially the dark feminine, has been suppressed for so many years. And if we come to this understanding, we can realize that there's so much more that we're missing out on, so much truth that is missing from our Bibles, from church, and from spirituality because of this. As I mentioned before, Pope Gregory conflated Mary Magdalene as a prostitute, and Paul in his teachings dismissed feminine power in favor of structure and purity. And I believe that that's because he was afraid. We never see Paul in a relationship with a woman. And who knows, he may have been before he became a Christian. But if you don't have a relationship with the divine feminine, how can you know that there's not power that resides within that energy? For years, the patriarchy has misconstrued femininity as weak and passive and submissive. I've mentioned this in a couple of videos previously. Submission is not what we think it is. A lot of people think submission is to bow down, to submit like a dog to the masculine, to the men. But really, when you look at the Hebrew meaning of submission, submission actually means to receive, which is such a beautiful definition of what this truth really is. And that's why there's so much missing from the Bible, where we've misinterpreted what these deep spiritual meanings actually are. Religion and patriarchy reinforce a fear of the unknown. And I don't know about you, but I love the unknown. I love mystery. I love diving into what is it that I don't know? Darkness isn't something to fear. It's a necessary part of spirituality. In Mary Magdalene's gospel, Jesus talks about the noose between the spirit and the soul. And if you think about that, the space between the spirit and the soul is so fine, it's so small that you have to intuit how to find it. And isn't that a perfect example, a perfect depiction of what the darkness is? when you're in a dark room and you're searching for the light switch. You can't see it, but you know it's there. You know that there's a connection to the soul and the spirit, but you're looking in the dark trying to find it because it's so small and so elusive. The dark feminine challenges these fears, offering a path of deep transformation rather than remaining comfortable in the safety of the light. Dark feminine energy is really just about embracing wholeness. It's about working with the shadow parts of you that are hidden and sometimes uncomfortable. Shadow work is being the observer of your thoughts and your triggers. I learned this recently, and I think it has changed my life in such a significant way. Whenever there's a trigger, whenever there's something that feels so uncomfortable to you, take it and be present with it and say, what a pleasure. What a pleasure to experience this and be able to transform it, to transmute it, and to make it something more beautiful, or to learn the lesson that needs to be learned from it. And once you do that and you really press into the beauty of it, it will change just like that. You won't need to keep experiencing that same thing over and over again. There was something so challenging that I was experiencing, and I thought it was just somebody else's issue, but really it was something I needed to learn about myself, something I needed to overcome. And as soon as I tapped into what a pleasure it is, it changed. It stopped immediately. And this is something that's been going on for years and years and years. So I promise you, if you use this shadow work technique, it can transform your life in amazing ways. I'm not here to talk about this stuff because it's just something interesting to me. It has profoundly changed my life, and I hope that it can profoundly change your life as well. Shadow work is about using intuition. It's about rebirth and dying to your old self. And it's even about sexuality and embracing that, because that has been shamed for so many years, especially for women. And it's a profound way to transform your life, to step into your wholeness and into your power, because that's who we are in a lot of ways. Mary Magdalene is a perfect example of being misunderstood. The darkness is misunderstood and misconstrued, but it's where we find the most transformation in. And in transformation, we find so much beauty. Don't let others determine who you are anymore. Just because someone says something or makes you feel like you should be a certain way, you need to listen to what is true to you. Who are you authentically? And be that with confidence and strength, and rise above the fear that lies under the surface of a lot of so-called truths. I've never felt more aligned, more free, and more clear than I have in my entire life. And it's because I've been doing this transformative spiritual work on myself, the inner work that is necessary if we want to live a full existence, if we want to live our best life. You have to look at your darkness if you want to change it. And it's really not as scary as you think it is. Every client that I've worked with, I've had them look at their darkness, look at their shadow side, look at the things that trigger them, and come face to face with them. And once they do, they realize it's not as scary as they were making it out to be. And that's really all they needed to do, was just to look at it. It's uncomfortable to look at and to transform. I understand. But fear might be the very thing that's holding you back from having that relationship that you want, from having the lifestyle that you want, the car that you want, the family, the place to live, the money that you want. It might be fear that's holding you back from having those things. Dark feminine energy may have in the past been misconstrued as manipulative or causing harm, but it's about self-reclamation and empowerment. Religions and societies have suppressed this truth because it goes against the grain of the status quo, but it's necessary for balance and wholeness. This is how I recommend that you tap into your dark feminine energy. Shadow work, meditation, connecting with nature, connecting with your sexual energy and creativity. And start small, facing fears and small triggers and being completely present with them. These fears and these triggers are small invitations to transform. And if you'd like to dive deeper into dark feminine energy, I encourage you to look into mythology, because mythology is the stories that have been passed on from generation to generation. and also look into the Gospel of Mary Magdalene. And down below in the description, I have a link to my ebook that gives you a 5-minute feminine energy reset guide that will help you to reset your feminine energy and step into the abundance that you're looking to achieve. I invite you to share your thoughts in the comments below, or if you've felt this energy before, if you felt this power before, which I'm sure that you have, if you've set boundaries before, or tapped into your sexuality, or been present in dark or frustrating times, and you've seen the transformation that comes from that. And if you're interested in going deeper with me through this journey of your feminine energy, I offer one-on-one coaching, and in my website, I offer a free 15-minute call that can see if this is the right fit for you or not. And if you haven't already, please subscribe for more content on feminine energy, spirituality, and personal transformation. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope this video was helpful for you. Have a blessed day.